Hello to my party people out there in Radio Land. Welcome to this week's transition. Today, we're talking about pointing fingers. Your hands. We're talking about the hands. Okay, so look at your hand. That's what I want you to do right now. Look at your hand. Like, for real, look at it. All right, four fingers and a thumb, for the most part, right? You might have more or less, but for the most part, you were born with four fingers and a thumb. All right. When you have a problem, what is your natural reaction to that? What do you usually do with your hands? If you have a problem with something or somebody, your computer, your car, your pet, right, or customer service or something like that, what do you do with your hands? Right? You usually raise them, yes, and you also dun 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 point, right? You usually point at the culprit, right? What's bothering you? This is bothering me. Um, and so, what I want you to do is point. So just point whatever's natural to you. And if you will notice, um, you have your index finger usually pointing at that which is giving you trouble, three fingers pointing back towards you, and one finger pointing up, right? So, um, I just want to kind of delve into how pointing fingers um, kind of ties into life and personal responsibility and following your dreams and culpability and all of that. Okay, so the fact that you have three of your five digits pointing towards you, right? When you point, one is pointing to an external source outside of yourself, right? And then one is pointing up to the universe or to God, right? So this applies to life itself, right? This is it. The micro is the macro is the micro in this life, right? Everything that exists in our bodies exists in space. In a literal sense, of course, we're made of the same things that stars are made of, right? Carbon based. But also the same systems that occur within our bodies also occur externally, right? In space, like creation and like the Big Bang and conception and all of those things happen. It's the same stuff. It's the same thing. So our hands are also a way for us to um, empower ourselves and to really remember. I think our hands help us to remember who's in charge, right? Who running the show, all right? And what percentage, right? So the culpability for our lives is ultimately reflected in our hands, right? In our own hands. The future is in our own hands, right? Um, Most of our decisions, destinations, right, actions are directly, or the results of our actions are directly caused by us, right? By ourselves. So we know that. Most people who um, are at a certain level of maturity, because that's what it is. Little kids, they always pointing a finger at somebody else. But then once you get to a certain age, you realize, like, I got to take some responsibility, for my own actions. Um, so, right, this is just something that comes with time, usually, usually. Um, but it's all us, right? So we say that. You say, well, I know that. Okay, for example, you leave the house on a cloudy day without an umbrella, right? It might rain and you end up getting wet. Whose fault was that you didn't bring an umbrella? It's your own. Now you can say, oh, well, I got distracted and this person and that. Yeah, mostly it's you. It's them three fingers, that 60% of your digits on one hand. It was up to you, right? You taking a chance. Maybe it couldn't have rained too. Could have gone the other way. Um, Another example is just like I worked hard, so I got rewarded or I got promoted, right? So when something good happens, you're quick to take responsibility for your act. Oh, that was me, man. That was all me. I did it myself, right? I don't know why I just made that into a dude's voice, but it just seemed appropriate at the time. But then when something goes wrong, quote unquote, right? Because we talked about there are no such thing as mistakes. When things go against what you would have hoped, right? It's somebody else's fault. It's externally. And as they say, the truth is a little bit in between, right? A little bit in between. So, all direct causes and effects, right? It's all stems from us, for the most part. For the most part, right? So now it's important to remember that we don't live in a bubble, right? We don't live in a vacuum. So this is where the actions of others come into place, right? So again, even with the examples above, you say, well, I was distracted, so I left my umbrella. Well, mostly it was up to you, but you might be right, right? There could have been other factors external to yourself that caused you to leave your umbrella. Same with your promotion, though. You don't want to talk about that. No, that was all you. Came up, that saw me, right? You said it. No. There were likely other sources and factors external to yourself that helped you get the promotion too, right? So it's not just the world is against us when things go wrong and it's for us when things go right. No, right? So it was for you. You were receiving external help even when things went right, right? Even when you got your promotion. Maybe one of your colleagues put in a good word for you, or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of out of touch with corporate at this point, but you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying. So, for example, an example of how the actions of other people affect us directly, right? And it's not you're just being irresponsible or not taking full accountability for your actions. These are legit times where it's like somebody else kind of caused that to happen to you, or influenced, I should say, the situation. So think about, like, I don't know, leaving a penny in the little cup at the gas station, right? Take a penny, leave a penny, right? And if you're short, then somebody else's actions, right? Somebody else's positive actions positively affected you. Wiping the toilet seat in public. Right? So that is something that can positively affect other people, or so other people's lack of doing that can have an impact on you as well, right? I know this a weird example. I don't know where this is coming from. Car accidents. So if you have a car accident, you could be like rear-ended or side-swiped in a situation where you were parked, right? So maybe it's literally like, I did nothing to cause this. And these things happen, right? But again, when things go awry, we say, well, it was somebody else's fault. Also, though, on the other end of that, my personal experience actually with a car accident happening and it being to my benefit ultimately, I didn't realize it at the time, but I do now, was like, I don't know, I was like 16 or something like that, and I was a passenger, right, with a parent, and we weren't far from home. As they say, most accidents happen close to home, and so somebody hit us or whatever, and I wasn't hurt, thankfully. But at the time, I just was like, okay, that was really unnecessary, but whatever. But no, because that accident ended up being the way that I was able to buy my first car, right? I couldn't have predicted or planned that. I just was annoyed that I had to go to chiropractor all the time, but it was kind of like whatever. And then little did I know, money would come of it. Like, I didn't know about how those things worked at the time. And it was just kind of like, oh, well, suddenly you have this check. And I'm like, oh, well, looky here. I just got my license. I need a car. So it's important to remember that just because something appears to be adverse on the outset, or somebody's actions toward you appear to be negative, it doesn't necessarily have to be so ultimately, right? It could just be at that moment, it seems that way, right? So all of this is to say that there are other people's often other people's to blame and thank, right, for our successes as well as our missteps or our quote unquote mistakes, right, that we talked about before, because they don't really exist. So that's what, 4 digits. We got 3 of our fingers pointing toward us. Mostly it was my own actions that caused this outcome. If there was a probably 20% chance that there were the actions of other people also impacted what occurred, right? That's that index finger that you're pointing at the other person, because it is their fault, right? But it's just not as much of their fault as you think that it is. There's a difference. And then we got this lonely little thumb that's just standing up, right? Trying to catch a ride, trying to hitchhike or whatever. I got you, thumb. And it's pointing up, right? It's pointing to the ether. It's pointing toward the sky. It's pointing to the universe. It's pointing to God, right? Because, of course, the universe also has a hand in the creation of our lives, right? We co-create. We call this co-creation. So most people get it twisted because they say, oh, it's all me, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they say, well, there is no God. I did everything on my own. That's not exactly true. But then, you have other people on the other extreme who say, well, it's just all God. I'm just a vessel, and God and it's kind of like, you got them three fingers pointing back at you. You do have some type of say-so in your life. Let's not get it twisted. But there is, again, the happy medium where there are also external forces that are working to your benefit, right? They're always looking out for your best interest, which is good because your three fingers, yourself, as well as the external source, your index finger, may or may not have your best or highest interest in mind, consciously or subconsciously, right? So keep that in mind. But the main person in charge is YOU, right? That's it. That's who it is. That's who's to blame, right? You, or to thank, right? Or to thank. You are responsible for making your own dreams come true. Nobody else. I don't want to hear it. But if only, but I just need to do, this person standing in my way, this person. Nope. It's just you. That's all it comes down to. Where there's a will, there's a way. You got to know that. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Have a good week. Love, live, light, laughter. Bye.